Welcome back to Tiny Blue Games. My name is, of course, Seesaw or Chris, and today we're talking about Guild Wars 2 in 2023. Today we're going to be checking out the newest strike mission, Old Lion's Court. It's not actually that new, but it's new for this channel. It's from like a few months ago. I've been meaning to try it for a while, and I said, hey, let's just sit down and do it in one of these videos, and here we are. So it's going to be a video of me going through the fight. I tried it a few times here now. And talking about what I liked, what I didn't like, and the elements that I think that did really well. I did use a guide before going into the fight, so it's not a blind run or anything like that. I took a look at Muckluck's Get to the Point guide. Really excellent guides for almost every encounter in the game. If you're someone who's coming back or just needs a refresher, it's like a 2 or 3 minute watch, and you have a good idea of what you're getting into before you jump in there. And I'm sure people who are playing with you will probably appreciate that before you hop in. But just before we get into the actual fight, I do want to mention I am a Guild Wars 2 or ArenaNet partner. Does this mean I won't say anything bad about Guild Wars 2? No, I'll say the good, the bad, and the medium. But it does mean there are some lovely referral links or sponsored links in the description below. If you are someone who's interested in trying Guild Wars 2 or purchasing any of the expansions and you do happen to use those links, it does support the channel, which is awesome. But without any further ado, let's jump into the fight. All right, and here we are, just about to actually pull the boss. Our bosses, I should say. There's a good 3 of them here. Now, they are actually color-coded. I think there's green, red, and blue. I have difficulties seeing what color each of them are. But what you'll see here is they're really showing you their absolute main mechanic, which are these huge, massive abilities that have a big break bar. And what you really want to do with those is wait for these very specific moments to break the bar. Whereas in a lot of other Guild Wars 2 fights, it's pretty much if you see a break bar, you want to break it. That's definitely not the case here. And we're not going to get into too great of a detail of when and when you shouldn't. But essentially, there's these moments where all 3 bosses are on the field. They're all doing their massive abilities, and you need to break one of them to be able to have a safe spot. Everywhere else throughout the fight, when there isn't 3 of them doing the attacks all at once, you should not break the bars. So it's actually quite easy in terms of a beginner fight for people, because apart from that, it's a lot of just don't stand in red and damage or buff or heal or whatever your role is. It's pretty easy that way, which is great to see. So you'll see I'm on my Mesmer here. We're doing some damage. You know, I went for a pretty basic roll. I didn't want to do anything that I'd fail at. We're just trying to do damage and stay alive. We are a bit squishy, so there are some times that we could go down if we're not paying attention. There's also these moments, as you're seeing right there, just before that, where we can't attack the bosses. And it's very important to not blow all your stuff during that and have it ready for when you can actually damage. So really at this point, you're getting introduced to all of the different colors of the boss. They'll kind of teleport in for a little bit, teleport out. You'll see some of the mechanics, and then you move on. So this is the first phase here where we have all 3 come. We had someone target it, we all go and interrupt it, and then you'll see that there is now a safe place for us all to get to. And you'll notice here you have quite the length of time to do this. And this is why I feel like it's kind of a fight that was meant as a training fight. There is a hard mode. This isn't the hard mode. This is like the normal mode. But it's pretty lax if you successfully interrupt it. You're going to be sitting there for a bit. So it's kind of nice that way. So once you do that, you go back to fighting. This is another mechanic here, this ring. You can see little arrows that kind of go on the outside. That shows where you should stack to avoid damage. So there'll be one of those rings, and they'll do it quite a few times throughout the next little bit here. And they'll either be arrows on the outside or arrows on the inside. And depending on what those show, if it says on the outside, you go out. And this one, they're on the inside, so you can see I stack in here. And it'll help reduce the damage. Now, what I did there is I stacked in and then stayed in for too long because the next attack got me afterwards. But what's very important to understand, and this is what was highlighted in Muckluck's video, they're for you, like they're not for everyone. So you might see other people go in while you stay out, and that's the right thing to do. And that's kind of another trick, because a lot of players who are new, I mean, heck, me in like every World of Warcraft raid, I stack where I see people stacking if I don't know the fight. That's like the #1 way to try and survive. So very interesting mechanics that they're playing with, and really comes back to a lot of the reasons I love Guild Wars 2 is that they do play with these mechanics. They have a lot of really fun things that they do. So as you progress, you kind of have more and more bosses come in to play with you. Here's another mechanic we've seen a few times here. This one, it sucks you in towards the boss. You want to roll away or teleport away or do whatever you can to stay away from it, or else it'll do a ton of damage. It ended up being actually what kind of wiped us on our first attempt here. We had a lot of people go down, but no worries. In Guild Wars 2, you have this really awesome chat command /GG that just allows you to restart the fight. And from having played World of Warcraft through the last few months and doing like a lot of raids in Dragonflight, I never truly understood how important this mechanic is, but it might be one of the best things that Guild Wars 2 has done. And seeing how Dragonflight, took a look at those dragons, if they wanted to steal another piece of tech, if we could have like a wipe check or something like that, it would be a big plus, because nothing breaks a raid apart more than people slowly wiping and leaving and wiping and slowly leaving. If you can just have everyone GG and then be back and ready to fight within like a minute, it's so much nicer. So excellent. So that's just one thing I really like about it. But you'll see here, there's quite a few times we have this suck away mechanic that we have to get out of. One of the other robots, and I'm sorry I'm not going to say the colors of them because I'm not actually sure which has which, has a pushback one where you actually want to stand in. So really, like a lot of raids, if something's trying to pull you towards something, probably go to the other direction. If something's trying to push you towards something, probably go to the other direction. Otherwise, you can see these big circles of not so looking good stuff on the ground there. You don't want to touch that. That's it's not good. It's not good at all. Here's one I think that, yeah, this is the push away. So we're trying to get into the center here. I do have a teleport on my Mesmer, which is a great ability for me just to reorient myself and get in or out. I didn't really need to go far there, but it's a nice ability to have. Those circles there, you get 3 of them, run them out of people, and that's pretty much it. There's a tether you can see on the very left side for a second there. It's like this blue tether that holds someone there. Watch out for those. They can make things challenging, especially if it's during a phase where you have to get somewhere. So just be on the lookout. But yeah, essentially just look for safe places, a roll out of bad things, and then the only thing you really have to worry about are these phases right here where you have all 3 come down. And I think the biggest thing is remember how much time you have. Don't panic. Wait. If you're not, confident, wait for someone or a leader to target one of them, or for everyone in the group to go towards one of them, and then use your CC bars. And it doesn't seem like it's a huge CC amount that you need. I essentially only use the kind of the pushback on my great sword as my contribution. Now, I don't know, we might have a few people in this raid who are like bringing like a ton of CC abilities because they know that, hey, this is the #1 mechanic, but it definitely didn't feel like that much for me. This is one of those get out of the areas, and now here it's really excellent that I have a teleport because it's quite a ways you have to go there. But still a very generous bar. You can see like we've been out here for a long time now. And if you were just walking over, even if you were like slowed or something, I think you'd be fine making it there. I really do feel like they've made this normal version of this fight to be a really good entry strike mission. And it's great to see that they're kind of thinking about that, because having some of these more easy ones allows for people to take the lessons here and go into some of the harder ones. I think if I was to ultimately be the decider for Guild Wars 2, I think a mix of strike missions where the strike missions are kind of an entry level and raids where raids are the top tier would be how I would play things, but we're not that person, so we can't really make those decisions. What you'll see here is as you get people or get closer to the end, you have more and more bosses to deal with more and more stuff on the ground. The really big thing to understand here is that as long as you stay near your group, as long as you have your healer and you're not panicking, you're probably going to be okay. So try and get tight. Do not stack on that like I just did. I got saved by a stack of Aegis. But yeah, just be very aware of everything around you, because it does get hectic at the very end here. And I'd say, there was a few times here where we could have wiped especially going into this last phase where you have to do a final break. If you've used all your abilities too quickly or you're too stacked up, like look at us just standing on each other with a circle there. I go down. Luckily enough, we are able to get me up. I actually teleport away from this guy, which no, I don't. I stay. I was like, did I teleport? It was earlier in the fight, which is good. I was like, do I teleport from this poor soul who's healing me? But no, we do well. And then you just shift between the different bosses. So I think this is the blue one, if I'm to read it right, which has the kind of the pushback that you want to get into. And you're really threading the needle at the end here. You do have control over where these puddles kind of go. So if you're one of the people who has a puddle at some point, try not to like place it on everyone. I don't know how long you have. It might just be based on where you're stacking. So stacking tight is a really good idea, and that way everyone can plop it somewhere and go away. There is one more of these phases here. We go for the break once again. I don't know the code of which robot you're supposed to do in the order. What I do remember from the video, though, is that one of the times you do the red one of the times you do the blue one, and one of the times you do the green one. So you're supposed to do each of the different bosses once. But there is an order, like you do the whichever one first, the next one next, and the next one next. So I would check out that Mukluk video and just write that down on a little slip of paper if you are leading this. The final phase here, you have all the robots kind of come down, but they're all like about 10% health, so it's pretty quick to burst any of these down if you have some reasonable DPS. I don't think we have a super stacked party or anything like that. I'm certainly no top DPS or anything like that, and we had no big issues DPS wise, I don't think. So as long as you're, I think it's really slow and steady here. As long as you're with the group, trying to stay alive, and just doing a little bit of damage and breaking the bars at the right time, you should have no issue. That's the biggest one. Just don't break the bars. But I think it was a really fun fight. Honestly, I would love to do more fights like this where it is really about one mechanic and just doing it exceptionally well. I think that's kind of fun when the fight's got a gimmick of sorts and it's really about doing that one thing. Especially if they pop these out pretty regularly, which, you know, I don't know if you could say the strike missions have been regular or not, but they've been, at least for someone who plays casually, I always come back and there's one or two for me to try, which is really fun. But yeah, there's the fight. Get some rewards at the end. Lots of fun. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know if you have tried this strike mission for yourselves in Guild Wars 2, and let me know what you thought of it. If not, dive on in, check it out. It should be a lot of fun. A new challenge in the game is always something worth checking out. But thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Have a great day.